Find the button.
Hey y'all, welcome back. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Today we have Carlton Washington. He is the co-founder of Forever Young, and he is also a small business and franchisee consultant. So thank you so much for taking the time to be on here with us today.
No, thank you guys. Thanks for having me.
So just to start out, if you could give a little bit of a background so that people know who you are, where you come from.
Yeah. So again, thanks for the opportunity, guys. Carlton, Washington. I was originally born in Washington, D.C. Area. I lived there for about 8 or 9 years, and then moved to Mississippi. And from Mississippi, Mississippi took me to South Florida, which then took me back up to DC for school at Howard, and then went to Atlanta, and then I found myself back here in South Florida again. And so during that time, really most of my background was in banking, insurance, real estate. My first business was really in marketing and nightclub promotions, and so that's where I really kind of got a taste for the entrepreneurship, and really kind of tried to take those skills that were really kind of just organic guerrilla marketing type skills, and it really brought that into what I was doing in banking, brought that into what I was doing in real estate, brought that into insurance, and that kind of got me here to where I am today, which is in a wellness and aesthetic concept. We are 9 years into our business at Forever Young. We're not only running wellness and aesthetic clinics, but we're also a franchisor. And so we have 87 plus sites right now in development or at some stage of operation right now nationwide. And really that came out of frustration in corporate burnout, and really seeing that what I was doing in my corporate job really wasn't helping people at all. And in many cases, it was actually hurting people. And I just got to a point where I was so depressed doing those type of things on a daily basis and on that hamster wheel that I said, you know what, I'd rather just take a chance, go for broke, and get out of this. I'll never be able to live with myself if I don't try. And so that's when I really gave it a shot in the industry that I'm in now, which is wellness and aesthetics. It's a healthy business, it's a sexy business, and it's ever since joining and co-founding this company, the mission has been the same. We are helping people instead of hurting people, and 99% of the people that come into our offices leave and continue to come back with smiles. And so that's kind of a summary, very, messy summary of my background, but we can dive into that as well if you like.
Okay, so I'm gonna backtrack you a little bit here. Okay, so you said that you came from banking and insurance and real estate, right?
Yes, right,
So, and you have a partner because you're a co-founder. So, can
correct.
you tell us a little bit about your partner and how you guys met and came up with this concept of Forever Young?
Yeah, so I always enjoy telling people about how we met because most people make assumptions and they wouldn't actually assume how we met. So people see that I do have a 50-50 partner. His name is Dennis. And people think that like, oh, these guys must have been like buddies or, high school friends or something like that. It was nothing like that at all. I moved here to South Florida. My wife made a deal with me, more like a bet. And she wanted career advancement. And so I told her all these impossible things to ask for from the company, and thinking in the back of my head, they're not going to do it anyway. So I just get to stay in my comfortable place in Atlanta. And then she came home and said, hey, they said yes, and I got to go in 30 days. And so I didn't think that was going to happen. And so when I finally got an opportunity to move down 7 months later to rejoin my family, I had to take a job doing something that I hated. And so I didn't know a lot of people when I came back to South Florida. And so I said, what am I going to do? I'm not going to just just hang out and do nothing. I need to do something productive, motivating. I have all this time on my hands. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to go and get in the best shape of my life. I'm going to go do a bodybuilding competition. I had a friend in Atlanta who really inspired me, a female friend who actually got in and did some competitions. I was just like, wow, that's so cool. How can I ever do something like that? So I had time on my hand. I was like, let me figure out how to do it. So I went around and tried to find the best person that could help me get into the best shape in condition that I could. And my partner Dennis was recommended to me. I spoke with him. We got going, and I took it really seriously. So like probably more serious than many of his clients, because I was probably harassing him and bothering him for more than I paid for. And so I had nothing else to do. And so we talked and talked, and I was training and I was getting good results. And I reached my breaking point one day. But one of my mentors, while I was in the bank, told me in regards to this industry, he was like, look, if you want to get into this industry, you need to start with 50 patients or as close as possible. And if you don't have 50 patients, I wouldn't advise you just to jump out there. He's like, you're going to need 50 patients to survive. And so I was like, I don't know 50 people. And so I was sitting at my office in my tie and, pissed off. And I was like, you know what? I know who knows 50 people. It's this guy, Dennis, that I'm training with. He was like very popular in regards to bodybuilding and fitness and whatnot. He knew everybody. And so I was like, hey, can you meet me at Starbucks real quick? And he was like, why? Because I was already probably harassing him about my workouts and everything. And I was like, please, man, just meet me there. I want to talk to you about something good. And he's like, well, I have my son with me. Is that okay? I was like, bring whoever you want. Just meet me at Starbucks. So we meet at Starbucks, sit down. He's like, what do you want to talk about? I was like, look, man, I want to talk to you about possibly getting into the wellness industry. And this is the plan. And this is what I'm thinking can work. And this is what I'm seeing happening right now. He was like, okay. I'd only known him for a month and a half. And he was like, okay. And his son was there. And so the very next week, we started looking at real estate. And 4.5 months later, we opened our business on August 1st of 2014. And that was it. It was no thinking. It was no nothing. We had a plan. Every week we moved forward on a plan. We, got some credit card money. I had also gotten a settlement at the time in the mail. Like it was like out of the blue. Like it was just literally like class action. And a check came in the mail and we just made it happen. And that was it. It was nothing complicated. It was nothing like where we were just dragging our feet. He always says, because he's a pretty analytical guy, he always says, usually that would not be something I do. He's like, I don't know how you caught me on a fluke or something, but he's like, usually I'm going to take time to think about it. And he's like, it was something I just did. And so that's the story. It wasn't rocket science. It was just like, hey, we can do better. We both were at a point in our lives where we wanted to do more. And we just said, okay, let's do it.
I love that.
I do too.
When in the past life of industries that you were in, did you consider yourself an entrepreneur in those industries? Or was this really your first bout of like, I'm going to go all in and open something of my own?
No, this was my third
Okay.
try. This was my third try. And the first try was when I was in school. And what happened with that is I was actually having some success. I could have dedicated my time and I could have dropped out of school and probably done very well in the entertainment sector. But we want to please our parents, right? And your parents are like, hey, you got to finish school. I was a 6-year, guy in school, probably should have been 7 or 8. And my parents were like, can you please just finish school? And I didn't want to disappoint them. So I was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to hang this up, something I'm good at. I'm just going to stop and I'm going to finish school. Because I thought, you go to school, graduate. As soon as you're done, they hand you a briefcase and a suit and a desk, and you're going to be rich, right? Like that's what the college trajectory was supposed to be in 2001. Was not that at all. It was the opposite. And so I left that behind thinking I was doing the right thing by going to college. And ended up that not being the trajectory for me. I went into automobile sales, and then I went from there into banking. And so I did that for a while and I was good at it. And it allowed me the freedom to kind of still be in sales, still kind of interact with people. And I was learning the whole time. What I realized now is that the whole time I was learning, because I get to counsel people through a divorce. You get to counsel people on their first home, second home, wealthy guy making transfers. You get to see everybody in every walk of life and how they're doing and how they're doing it. And so I guess in my subconscious, I was learning. And so again, I went back to school to get my MBA. As soon as I got out of there, I was like, okay, I'm going to start a business. So I started an insurance and real estate company, and that started doing well. And then I had a son, and I said, hey, I got scared. I was just scared to death. My business was still building. I wasn't rich by any means, but it was building. But I said, hey, you know what? I'm scared. I got to be able to provide for this kid. And so then I went back into the banking world as a financial advisor for Merrill Lynch, and I left that business. And I always tell people that if I had not left that business today, I would not be speaking to you right now because I would be retired, because that's a residual income business I still get checks from 2010, 2011 today. And so it was a lesson in perseverance and sticking with something. And so I learned, like, you just quit too soon. You quit too soon. And so this was the third try. The third try was this business. And those lessons kind of help say, look, we had some really hard times, really rough times. And that was the lesson, was just keep going. And we just kept going. And it wasn't rocket science. It was just like, this hurts a lot, but just keep pushing forward. You got to have faith that something good's going to come out of it. And it did. And so that's where we are today. That's how we got to where we are today.
Okay, and you kind of touched on this a little bit when you were talking about starting Forever Young, talking about credit cards and your settlement. Did you have a savings or anything lined up to start it, or you just went all in?
No. I helped my partner get credit cards. I was in the banking industry, so I called up, had a couple of friends at this bank, that bank. I was at a bank, so we got the credit cards. And then I also got, I out of the blue, I don't know what your spiritual beliefs are. It's crazy. Out of the blue, I started getting calls from people that I work with at Merrill Lynch. They're like, "Did you get this letter in the mail about a settlement?" I was like, "No, I probably threw it away." They're like, "No, you need to go and request another letter." And so I looked at it. They're like, "Just fill it out." They were like, you could either contest the settlement and ask for more, or you can just take a straight settlement check." And I was like, whatever. This is way too good to be true. So I just sent the thing back in. Next thing you know, this check just showed up in the mail, and it was a significant enough check. We started our business with $75,000. It was a significant enough check for me to put a dent in that, and it just came in the mail out the blue. And so,
Like this was meant to be.
call it what you want.
Yeah.
Everybody has their different belief systems, but I swear to God, it showed up in the mail, and I was not involved in the settlement. I did not sue Merrill Lynch. I didn't do anything. The check just came. The funny thing is, in hindsight, I now know that if I contested the settlement, I actually would have probably got double or triple. Everybody that contested the settlement got more. I was impatient. And so it was just enough money to.
That's what they bank on. They bank on
Yeah.
someone not contesting it because they don't want to wait. They're just
I was broke. I was like, I was the biggest check in the mail I've ever seen in my life. So, yeah.
So did y'all have to take out any loans to start, or was it just all
We weren't
credit
bankable.
and
Yeah, we weren't bankable. We were a brand new business. Nobody was going to give us a loan, and we ran out of money in 4 months. We ran out of money by December of that year. We started in August, ran out of money. There was a third partner, and a lot of people don't know about this. There's a third partner. This guy, I believe, was going through midlife crisis, and he had divorced his wife and left his kids, and he married another woman, and they were going on vacations every week to the Bahamas and Jamaica and all these places. He would show up like once a week in the office. And so we were like, hey, we have to put more money in this business. We're all going to put more money in. We're going to do whatever we have to do. We're going to get credit cards. We're going to do whatever we have to do to move forward. He was like, whoa, I didn't sign up for this. He's like, you guys just told me this was just going to be a wellness business. This is way too complicated. I'm not putting my credit on the line. None of that. So my partner and I met Dennis. We're like, what are we going to do here, man? We got to put more money in. And we were like, well, why don't we just give him his money back? See if we can get enough money to give him his money back. And so at the time, merchant cash advance loans were the thing. And there was all these companies. I didn't know they really were kind of illegal. But what they would do is they would give you a loan on your receivables on your credit card for whatever you swipe. So they would give, if you're swiping 50,000, they'll give you 50,000 at 30 to 40% interest rates, by the way, and daily payments that come right out of your checking account. So we're like, look, man, we got to keep moving. We can't just close. So we got to keep moving. Let's get this loan, give him his money back, and see if he'll take it. So we met, and we were in the room, and we were like, hey, man, well, you're not happy and whatnot. You want to just take your money back? We have a check here for $33,000. He was like, okay. So we're like, okay, gave him the check. Long story short, that was in January of 2015. By spring, we both went to buy brand new S550s, and the business went to the moon. It was, again, depending on what your belief system is, the minute this guy left the business, and the business wouldn't work with him anyway, because 3 partners is way too much for 1 unit. It never would have worked. It never would have been enough money for us to sustain and to meet our goals. So as soon as he exited the business, all the work we had done for the prior 5 months apparently had compounded and just took right off.
That's awesome. Okay, so I have to assume with the wellness industry that there are a lot of objections. Can you tell us if there were any that you faced, and if so, how did you handle them?
All the time. I mean, we are in a very objectionable industry at times, because I like to tell people that there are two paths now in the United States that people go down. There's only two. It's the one fork in the road where most of our parents are going, our aunts or uncles and grandparents, where they're going the orange pill bottle route. They have 20 orange pill bottles on their table. They're going to their doctor, and every time they go to their doctor, somehow they get sicker and sicker and sicker. And it's just they're on that hamster wheel. And then you have this new way where people are like, hey, I'm going to pay a little bit more for my healthcare as an investment. I'm going to read. I want to feel better. I got divorced. I want to date, or I'm with my wife and I want to still have a good love life, or I want to be active with my kids, or maybe I just want to live a long time, but not be sick. And these people are going down this fork in the road. It's so anytime you meet with the orange pill people, this is not for them. 9 times out of 10, they've already made up their minds. You're not a doctor. You don't know what you're doing. I'm going to trust my doctor and I'm going to do this. And the same thing my mother did and my grandmother did. And I'm going to get diabetes and I'm going to, all that horrible stuff that goes with that. But then you have this other class of people that were there, but now there's so many more of them. But every year there's more of them that are like, hey, I met this guy and he's my age and he just changed his life. Or I met this woman and she was in menopause and now she's not in menopause and she has a sex drive and her marriage is flourishing and all these things. Like, hey, what is that thing that person did? I want that too. And so little did we know, again, depending on what your belief systems are, we just happen to be in that industry as it's taking off at the right time, pioneering it. There was no rules to it. There was no method. There was no franchise. There was no model. So we didn't know it at the time. We're creating a model the whole time. And we ourselves as patients, we love what we did. And so we love what we did so much when we weren't doctors. The doctors were employees, the medical professionals are employees, that we actually treated our patients the way they wanted to be treated because we're patients as well. And the medical community wasn't picking up on that. They wanted, I'm the doctor, you're the patient, you listen to me. I'm going to go back outside, smoke my cigarette and eat my Jersey Mike's in the back and then tell you how to be healthier. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not what we were doing. So everything we did was living it, breathing it, caring about people, going the extra mile, going in the room with the woman who's crying, got menopause, or two guys like us, they're coming in talking about, oh, I'm having vaginal dryness, I'm emotional, I'm getting night sweats. We're just like, we didn't know about that side of the business, but we learned about it, right? And we were just so surprised that these women would come in 50 years old and sit there and talk to us about these things. And we would listen with a straight face and they would meet with us for consultation, but the medical professionals were female. The doctor would step in, and then you were getting both sides. You were getting a personalized, caring and empathetic approach to your wellness. You're not getting rushed in the office with the MA and all that stuff. And then you're getting the medical side that you want, but it's so much deeper and you're treated like an individual. And so we didn't know that was not a thing at the time. It was really, there was a few of us out there in the United States doing this. It was segmented. And now it is a thing, and now it's a booming thing. So.
And that's obviously what really set you guys apart. So that's awesome. So talk to us about some upcoming goals, long-term, short-term, for this company and for you personally.
Thank you. So in regards to short-term goals, every year we have aggressive goals. So, we are now multiple businesses. We have one of our businesses, is the core business, which is running our corporate clinics every day as we have for the last 9 years and making sure those are working well. And so every year we want to grow those. Every year we want to have more patients. Every year we want to retain clients and customer satisfaction. And that is always the goal: grow in market share, grow with clients, grow within the industry as far as offerings and services to get better. Because remember, selfishly, we are aging men. And now we're in our 40s. My partner was 32, I was 34, now I'm 43 years old. I'll be 44 this year. Is like, all the things that we were telling people, like, I need all those and some now. So that's one goal. The other goal with the franchise side, which is a completely different business, is to get up into the hundreds in regards to locations. We want to spread our reach nationwide. And we want all those people to remain successful. And so right now we have over a 70% success rate with our franchisees. We take it very seriously, and we want to increase that rate of success, and we want to increase market share with that side of the business. And then personally, my personal goal after 9 years is to get some of my life back. And I would like to pull back from the business and only operate in areas that I can actually truly add value. I and our partner, my partner, our office, we have wore many hats. But I'm probably not the best legal counsel, in the practice. You know what I mean? As far as like paralegal in between, I'm not, I'm not, I didn't go to law school. I'm not the best controller, CFO. Like I don't like finance. Like I don't like doing that. Um, so I'm not a human resources officer. I don't appreciate sitting down with people and talking to them for the fourth time about some nonsense that, has nothing to do with our business, but a personal problem or whatever. Little things like that that businesses have to deal with. You get to a point where you're at a capacity, you can't do those things anymore, or you can't do them well. You can't do many, many things well. And so my goal is to extract myself and only insert myself in places that I am good at, which is marketing, sales, some leadership, motivation, and our brand culture. That's what I'm good at. And so that's my goal as far as Forever Young. And then on the other side is to also bring in strategic partners to grow our business. We don't know everything and we are not the best at everything. And so to bring those people in so this company can flourish and grow. And then lastly, I like to take all that I learned, all that experience, and actually consult people, help people who are looking at becoming a franchise or people who are looking at getting out of corporate America and want to become a franchisee, and showing them the path to do that properly, doing it correctly. And so they can get some of their life back too, because that's what I represent as a corporate refugee, someone who was burnt out, someone who was on the hamster wheel. And this was one of the best things I've ever done for myself, even though it's very stressful. I'm hoping to one day be able to enjoy it and have some control and freedom. And I think that's the motivation right now, is to help free other people and allow them to have a taste of that as well.
Okay, so I have a couple questions. The first one. Okay, so y'all are obviously a franchise. We've talked to multiple owners that have thought about franchising and then back out for one reason or another. So what made you guys want to move forward with the franchise route?
So, well, it's funny you say that. One of them is ignorance. And I'll tell you why. We went to a franchise conference about a year in, and we were doing it ourselves. And we went to this big conference, and David Goggins was a speaker, and he's like 5 feet in front of us, and we're all excited. And before David starts speaking, the guy from the company comes out, a very experienced franchisor, multiple brands, very extremely successful. He's like, thank you guys for coming. He's like, before you guys get started, I want to ask everybody, do you guys know what the first rule of franchising is? And everybody's like, no, what is it? Can you guys, and I'll ask you guys, can you guys guess what the first rule of franchising is?
I have
So
no idea.
neither could we. The first rule of franchising for a business is never franchise your business.
Oh, okay. I guess that's a legit rule.
And we're sitting there like, oh my God, what have we gotten ourselves into? He's like, most of you guys sitting here, it's already too late. So here's David Goggins, I'm saying, we'll get to this later or whatever, and the reason why he said that is true. No, franchising is a very small community of people who actually know about this business, who are moving these industries. Very small community. They're connected coast to coast. And what they will all tell you, what they know, is this is unlike any other type of business. You're dealing with a multiple of people who also have businesses under them. So you're married to, like, if you have 50 units, you're married to 50 people and their problems. 100 units, 100 people and their problems, right? If you want to do it the right way, you have to show some empathy. You got to show some sympathy. You have to build relationships. So you just took on 50 people's problems, right? And that's a lot. You have to be prepared for that. Most people are not. And so there's a lot of detail. There's a lot of liability. You owe someone, when they buy a franchise from you, what you sold them. You owe them support. You owe them direction. You owe them integrity, and you are married to them. And it's a federal document contract that you sign, that's disclosed, and you got to take it seriously. And so there's a lot that comes with it. And we got into franchising because, quite honestly, we were not wealthy. We're not wealthy. we have the drive, we have the knowledge and the passion to grow our brand, but we need other like-minded people to do that. No one's going to write us a check. Bank's not going to give you any money to do that. And so we wanted to grow our brand the best way we could. And that was by bringing other like-minded people on board and supporting them to build it out. And for that, we take less income because we're getting a royalty. So for example, your business might be netting not 25% as a regular business, but in franchising, you're getting, 6-7%. And so you give up something, but you also, once you have volume, can gain. And so that's why we went into franchising. And it's a big learning curve.
So everything you learned, this kind of leads into my second question. Everything you learned through franchising, this one is what made you want to be a franchisee consultant, small business consultant now. Like, what
Yes.
are you going to franchise? Like, I mean, are you going to consult in regards to all industries, or are you niching
Yes.
to a certain?
I'm never going to pretend to know things that I don't, but I want to set up a pipeline for people who have businesses that they believe in to scrub through those businesses and say, hey, this is a viable concept or this is not. You need more work. If it's a viable concept, okay, let's talk, consult, and then we're going to take you through a development process that's going to allow you to have a successful franchise. We're going to tell you the truth about what that means and the commitment level. And if that's not for you, why get involved? It's a waste of time for all of us. But for the ones who are, this is a great opportunity. And so many people don't know about it. And then so many people also have to go through those years where they're toiling through it. What if you don't have to? What if you can have someone that's like, oh, I've seen that, correct that process right away. I've seen that a million times. Do not participate. Do not go back and forth. Use your lawyer for this. Don't negotiate that. Do not sell bad territory. Whatever it is, if you can save someone $1 million or $500,000 in all their time for a fraction of that, I think that's a huge value for someone. And so, also on the franchisee side, I've told my wife this, and I've told my friends this. People are slow to adopt, but franchising is a great way for you to give yourself some purpose in many different areas of business. You like kids, get a daycare. You like wellness, get a Forever Young. You like fitness, get a Orange Theory. You don't have to create it. You can just go in, follow the process, and double, triple maybe what you're making. And then you're also building equity. So franchises also sell like homes. Franchises are assets. And so people don't understand, like, oh, okay, I just opened my Orange Theory. I've been in business for 2 years. And then some guy just walked in and like, hey, how much for this Orange Theory? And you're like, what? Like, yeah, how much you make? I'll write you a multiple right now. I'll write you $3 million check. Give me your Orange Theory. Like that happens, like to lots of these businesses. I walked by a dog grooming business that's next to one of our stores. It's packed all the time. I saw the lady one day. I was like, hey, would you sell me this business, for my daughter? And she's like, of course she's going to say no, unless you like write her some big amount, but there's people will write the big amount. So all you got to do is just be successful, get into something you're passionate about. You're building value in your store, equity in your store. You're getting income, and you're having some sense of control, and you're getting all the tax benefits. So many people are in corporate jobs, killing themselves, no freedom at all. And they're actually making that person, a 20x multiple, 30, 40x multiple on what they're being paid, when you can actually put that time into your own thing, if you have the skills to do so. Now, it's not for everybody, but if you do, it's a great opportunity. And me, personally, I'm looking forward to becoming a franchisee of someone else's concept one day.
So I have a question regarding your consulting. Do you primarily see yourself consulting people who are in the position to franchise or to buy into a franchise? Or what I was just talking to my business partner about at our little accountability meetings that we have, I said, you know what I want? I want to sit down and talk with someone that I know I'm years away from it, right? Like I'm a baby, I'm making all the mistakes right now with my business. But I would love to talk with someone that was like, if I knew this from the beginning, I would have put these systems in place. I would have set these things up. I want somebody to sit me down and tell me those things so that I'm setting it up to not have to make major changes in 3 years to take that step. Is that part of the consulting you're talking?
Absolutely, absolutely. Absolutely. And the goal is to basically just take on people who are ready for that. Um, I'm doing it's like you're going into something else again because you're passionate about it. It's something you can talk about in your sleep.
Yeah.
And so I really want to dive into that. That's what I like doing. And if you have somebody that's willing to submit to a process, um, that's what we're here for. That's what the purpose is, because I promise you, if you bring somebody in who's gone through the ringer and done this, and they look at your business, there's so many aha moments. It has nothing to do with your ability or capability or your intellect or anything like that. It's simply just an experience thing, right? And so it's trial by fire. So when someone comes in there and sees that, they're like, oh, I'm going to give you 5 things to take away right now. They're going to change your business. And if you believe in them and you paid for them, especially, you're going to say, okay, I'm going to take this serious. And then now you've saved yourself, another 3 years and a ton of money. And yeah, that's the whole point. And so that's what I want to do. And I think it's not as difficult as people think it is, because most businesses are the same. We're selling a product or service, we're selling time. And what do we need to do? We need more customers. We need to sell more. We need to treat these people properly, and we need to make it as seamless as possible. And so, looking back, there's been so many mistakes made from day one that we're cleaning up today. And now I know from day one, if I treated the business like it was a franchise from the get-go, or a franchise concept, we would have gotten to this stage a lot quicker. But again, depending on what your belief systems are, probably weren't ready for that. And so things are happening, at the proper time when we've been ready. But the experience and knowledge is seared in there with pain. And it's credible and it works. So all we do is solve problems here. And the problems are able to be applied to any business arena. All businesses are pretty much the same in that regard, in regards to their functions, processes, and the fact that in order to stay business, you need to be profitable, and you need to be, watching your P&L, your balance sheet, and learning about these things. And sometimes, you could unlock things just in a quick hour meeting, looking at somebody's P&L. They're like, what the hell is this? Like, why does your payroll look like this? Like, what are you doing? Who's this person you're paying all this money to? What do they do? Like, why are you, spending like 5 times on your accounting or your marketing? And then like it's just little things that you talk to business owners and you think it's common sense or you think it's common knowledge. It's not. And they're just on the wheel, just on the wheel, doing the same thing for 10, 20 years, working in their businesses. Right now, that's the biggest thing for me, is I work for Forever Young, right? And so people think it's glamorous that, you're a business owner or whatever, but I'm really self-employed. I'm not, I haven't reached business owner status yet, because I work for this company. I work for this brand. And that's a big difference between actually really being a business owner and operating properly, to seek the freedom that you're looking for, or that we should be looking for.
I've never heard someone say it like that. It makes a lot of sense when you say it, that you're not technically a business owner because you're still working. So you're employed. I've never heard
Yeah,
of
I work for all these franchisees. I work for my staff. I work for, it's like a monster in a way. And you know what I'm saying? It's like this, you create this brand and this logo, and you're like, you don't know what you're actually really creating, and like now you're like, this is my boss right now. I'm not the boss, and that's the thing I've learned now, is so you can set that up probably in half the time if you do it right. And the whole time, this has just been a big educational process for us. So if in the next business, it would not look like this. The systems would be there from the get-go. The discipline, the human resources capability, the organization, the manuals and policies, we're putting that in from day one, as if this is going to be like Supercuts or McDonald's or something. I mean, like, most people, they doubt it, that it's ever going to happen, and they short themselves. But you can do that from the beginning and be organized, and that's the difference between a big business and a small business. It's how buttoned up you are.
Okay, so I know that you're getting into consulting. So that's where you're rebranding yourself currently.
Right.
How has that been, and what are the steps you've taken to rebrand yourself? Because I know a lot of people kind of feel like they get into the brand of their company. So Forever Young, they get into that brand and they're known as that brand, and then they're like, well, there's no breaking away from it at this point.
It's a
Everybody knows
trap.
that person. Yes.
It's a
So how are
trap.
you rebranding? Exactly. How are
So
you
yeah, I mean, I
rebranding?
got really deep into the brand. I mean, as you can see, I have it tattooed on me. I would challenge you to find a day or a picture of me in 9 years, not in a branded car, shirt, hat, anything, period. I don't do anything but this, nothing. And I think it's a trap, right? Because everybody looks at like everything that they're doing is the end all be all, and I think it's dangerous, and so I want to diversify myself and opportunities, and also don't want to be self-employed forever. And so knowing what I know now, I'm like, hey, you need to plan for the future, you need to diversify. And so in order to step away, it's weird things. It's like, okay, well, now I need to step into something else. I need coaching. So I've hired a coach. I've started brushing up on skills. I'm re-educating myself and stepping into another lane. And the biggest thing for me to do was to take off the Forever Young uniform and take off that. So now, like when I'm doing content or anything right now, I'm really just laying the foundation for that next business. And I'm purposely separating myself from the other business. The Forever Young is a validation for that, but I am not Carlton Forever Young all the time. I'm Carlton myself, and that person is capable of doing other things. And I don't want to get boxed into just that. And so that's the whole reason for it. And it just takes re-education. I've learned over the years that people who get stagnant, they don't work on themselves, they're not reading, they're not doing all these things, they get screwed. You know, FDA could come out tomorrow and say Botox, caused COVID, and something like that. Whatever it is, and then what are we going to do then? I don't want to be beholden anymore to anything or anyone, and so I wanted to diversify, and by doing so, I was just separating, that time from this, and then slowly building. And I don't have to rush. I don't have to rush that. I can actually do it the right way. I can actually pick the clients that I'm working with and give them the attention and pick and choose who I want to work with, and still be able to support Forever Young the way that it needs to, while we're growing. But at some point, I feel like this Forever Young will grow to a point where they don't need me, or I'm in the way, right? And I see that happen a lot in organizations where founders are. You can also get in the way, and this was a passion project for me. It also needs to be a business, and so sometimes you got to ruffle some feathers. Can't be friends with everybody. Can't be friends with all your staff like we used to. Can't, the business needs to grow. And, sometimes other people bring better ideas or different ideas to the table, and founders can get in the way of that. And so I'm recognizing that, and I'm prepared for when that happens.
So we actually found you because of your motivational and leadership content, not
Thank you.
because of this
Awesome.
business.
Awesome.
So
Thank you.
talk to talk to us a little bit about that. Like you said you're passionate about marketing. So where did that come from? Because you have a pretty intense presence on social media
Yeah, your content is really good.
and
Thank you. No,
consistent.
I appreciate it. Uh, we're chasing freedom here. So for me, freedom, it's all about freedom. And in order to do so, I feel like one of the things of being free is you got to tell the truth, and you can't lie to yourself. You can't lie to other people, And so I think that's what's probably coming through as intense to people, is that I'm telling the truth, and I'm telling the truth so much so that I would challenge anybody that I'm talking to do their due diligence, fact check me, dig into my past, whatever it is. I also tell you the truth about bad shit that I've done. I'm saying, about the negative side of me. I'm also telling the truth that I'm not a perfect person. I'm just a person that's trying to do the best that I can. And I want to work with other people who, I just finally figured this out the other day, why I've been so frustrated in dealing with, staff and people around me and just people in public and general, family, whatever. And it was the fact that I want to talk to other people who are passionate about what they have going on. If you do not have passion for yourself, if you don't have enough love for yourself, self care, passion for something chasing something, like if there's no carrot for you, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to be your friend. I don't need to be your friend. I don't need you to be my family member, nothing. I don't, my kids, like, I cannot work with my children if they don't have passion. You need to have a passion for something. It doesn't have to be my passion, but passion for life and for living is simple. And if you can just simply find something you're passionate about, like I want to help those people. And in turn, it's helping me to build a better community and circle, because I didn't know you guys before this. You didn't know me before this. We'll be in touch forever. Social media will connect us, and you never know when you'll need some help. And I never know what this will turn into. And I find a lot of value in that. And so my goal is to be relationship rich, and to add value enough to people in a transparent way that maybe one day they'll add some value back to me. Maybe there'll be an opportunity out there for me. And so it's not an intensity of like, some people say it's like it's intense, but they're saying it like it's intimidating or something. No, you should want intensity, and you should want someone to be transparent with you, whether it makes you feel good, whether it makes you feel bad, because that's the only way we're going to grow. And the intensity comes from wishing that I had people that would have told me these things at a young age, and would have shaken me harder to say, look, dude, what you're doing is stupid. It's not going to work. It doesn't work. You need to be respectful. You need to wake up early. You need to stop drinking so much. You need to stop partying every single weekend. Like, but people will say that stuff, but nobody ever was just like to the point of like shaking you, like, stop doing this right now. You're wasting so much time. You don't know how you're going to pay for this later. And so I think that's where the intensity comes from, because I realize that we don't have a lot of time as we're getting older. Everybody thinks they have more time than they do. And I feel the only way you can reach people it's got to be jarring, respectfully jarring enough to say, look, you need to care about yourself a little bit more. And if you don't listen to me, go listen to somebody else. But if you don't care enough, you don't have a passion to do better, then you might as well dismiss yourself, whatever that means, because there's no room for that. And you're just taking up space, and you're wasting everybody's time, including yourself. So maybe that's what's coming through. But I think there's nothing like helping someone and then coming back and be like, man, I never told you this, but I started this business. It actually worked. People told me it wasn't going to work. I just stuck it out, or just little good things like that. I think that's, depending on, again, what your belief systems are, that's the wealth, that's rich. And there's like just infinite benefit to that, in regards to giving back. Karma, or whatever you want to call it gets pretty real. And so I found that that's like my religion, in that regard.
Me, you. No. Okay, we have one question that we ask everyone, and I'm dying to hear your answer to this one. So this is kind of how we close it out. But what is one piece of advice you have for future entrepreneurs or someone who is just getting started? So if you could just give them one piece of advice, hopefully they're going to call you for a lot more after this, but just to get it started, what would you tell them?
Yeah. So if you want to get started, I mean, I almost feel like every year I would honestly say it's not like when we grew up with our parents or whatever, like when they're like, well, when I was your age, but no, we can't actually relate to people that are younger than us anymore. I think their challenges are so much greater than anything we've ever faced. And so what I would tell anybody that thinks that they want a shot at what they consider to be success, freeing themselves from monotony and others' control, is you need to humble yourself, go sit somewhere, and remember this: when you're ready to start, you need to bring an unhealthy level of energy and passion and commitment to what you're doing. Emphasis on unhealthy. It should feel like you're gonna die. And if it doesn't feel like that, you're probably not headed in the right direction. People think that they want to start a business. It's not well thought out. They don't want to have anybody to tell them any advice. And that's fine. But you need to listen to people who practice what they preach. I don't want to take advice from someone who's not successful at whatever it is, whether they're my trainer, my accountant, or my lawyer. You don't win cases. Why would I want to hire you as my lawyer? Right. You are not in shape. Why would I want to hire you as my trainer? You are not healthy. Why would I want to hire you as my doctor? Why would I want to listen to my mom or my dad or anybody? I'm not talking about mine, but I'm just saying anybody, mom, dad, brother, friend, especially my friend. My friend told me this. It's always my friend, my friend. Why would you listen to that friend? They have nothing to show for it. It makes absolutely no sense. And so you need to go seek out the shortcuts, which is ask, like what you guys are doing right now. People are so shocked and surprised how the people that they think are unattainable, are out of reach, would love to just help them out. The reason they don't help people out most of the time is because it's what I talked about before. You're not passionate about yourself. Like, why should I be passionate about helping you? I'm not going to do it for you. I'm going to give you the advice, give you the roadmap. It's very easy. But what gets in the way of people is it's hard and it hurts and they have never experienced adversity before. And so if you've never experienced adversity before, I know this is a long-winded answer, but it all goes back to an unhealthy level of energy. If you have never experienced adversity before, my greatest piece of advice would be to go out and pay for it, go buy some adversity, go stick your ass in one of these crazy man building boot camps or one of these like women empowerment, like we're going to go out in the woods and like, haze you, what I'm saying? There's going to be whatever it is. If you haven't experienced and suffered through something that you didn't want to do repeatedly, you're not going to make it in business. Simple. It's not friendly. It's not cool. If we're competing, I'm not going to be friendly or cool. I want to protect my market share. It's my kid. It's my child. It's going to be vicious, and people aren't ready for that. And so you need to be battle tested and ready to get into business, and you need to have a thick skin, and it's going to get very unhealthy before it gets better. It's not easy. There's zero shortcut. And so you need to go and seek out adversity if you've never had any. If you grew up in, a very pleasant area with very pleasant parents and everything was pleasant, you're not going to get to your goal that way. It's just not going to happen. It's impossible. It's unrealistic. And so that would be my advice to most people. And I've never seen anything different. Never.
That is definitely one we have not had before. So I love it.
Thank you.
Just in case people aren't following you, which they're missing out, or if they want to reach out to you about consulting or about franchising your current business or helping franchise another industry, can you give our listeners the best ways to contact you and all your social media handles?
Yeah, thank you, guys, again for the opportunity. My social media handle that I use the most is my Instagram. I use Instagram as my business card, and that's Carlton CARLTON _ Washington _ That's on Instagram. Carlton Washington MBA on LinkedIn. I check that one maybe once a week. Facebook is just my name, Carlton Washington. I don't even think people really use that much anymore. And then there is those are going to be the Instagram. I'm on all the time. My business is an Instagram friendly business. And so my personal Instagram I read all the time. I even check the hidden messages. And so I will get back to people. And we are planning on doing a mastermind later this year in Miami. And I'm going to try to make it, a value add. But that's going to be for people who are ready, not dreamers, but people who are ready to make a step. Usually the financial barrier is a good determination of that as well. And so we want to set the price at a point where you got to be a little serious to come down and participate, but that's going to be the next step. And from there, we're going to scale. And so, but right now, honestly, people ask questions. I just answer for free. I do want to help people out, and my income comes from Forever Young. And so, the consulting is a passion project, which will probably replace my income one day. But right now, I'm just open to helping people if they're open to helping themselves.
Well, Carlton, thank you so much for coming on today. I personally got a lot from you, so I know our listeners will get a lot from you as well. So we appreciate you taking the time to come out and talk to us.
No, thank you guys so much for the opportunity. And if you need anything in the future, just let me know.
Thank you so much.